Welcome back. It's Runa. Thank you for coming again today. I'm really happy you're here. I'll do my best to provide you with a cozy and heartwarming moment, so please feel free to relax and enjoy. Day 90 Late Night Call. Forgotten Voices. Amidst the deepening silence of the night, University Professor Rio Ando was immersed in his research in his home study. The time had already passed midnight. In Rio's hand, an aged letter was held, and he was in the midst of attempting to decipher its contents. The letter was left by his grandfather, still with many parts incomprehensible, and Rio had been spending a lot of time trying to unravel its mystery. Suddenly, the landline phone in the house rang. It was already past 1 a.m. Who could be calling at this hour? With curiosity and unease, Rio picked up the phone. Faintly, a woman's voice could be heard from the receiver. The voice was distant, as if it had transcended time to reach Rio's ears. After the words "Rio, help me," the silence returned. Who could the caller have been? Driven by anxiety and curiosity, Rio resolved to investigate the identity of the voice. Visitor of the night. Unable to shake off the voice from the phone, Rio began to search for clues as to what the caller might be seeking. Once again, he began to examine his grandfather's belongings. Then, a date and name written small in the corner of the letter caught his eye: May 15th, 1970. Yukiko. This name Yukiko had frequently appeared in his grandfather's diary, but the specific details of the person or her relationship with his grandfather were unclear. That night, a stranger suddenly appeared at Rio's door. She barely introduced herself before inquiring about the letter he possessed. Her name was Yukiko Sasaki, and she hinted at a deep connection between her and Rio's grandfather. Yukiko began to speak to Rio about a promise between her and his grandfather, revealing that this promise still bound her heart. This visit marked the beginning of a new journey for Rio. While the mystery brought about by the late-night call was gradually unfolding, it also led Rio towards unexpected truths. Fragments of memory. Rio and Yukiko decided to join forces to unravel the past mysteries shared between Rio's grandfather and Yukiko. Yukiko showed Rio an old album filled with memories of her and his grandfather's younger days. Each photograph captured the young smiles of his grandfather and Yukiko, taken in landscapes that evoked a sense of nostalgia. Yukiko began to narrate the story hidden behind the photographs. She and Rio's grandfather, in their youth, shared an interest in astronomy and would talk about the future under the starry sky. However, an event caused their relationship to rapidly deteriorate, ultimately leading to a significant promise between them. This promise was linked to the mystery of the letter passed down to Rio. A door to the past. Rio and Yukiko decided to visit the location mentioned in the letter. It was a remote observatory nestled in the mountains. It was where Rio's grandfather and Yukiko had once observed the stars and also served as their secret hideaway. The observatory still held many instruments, and Rio discovered his grandfather's last recorded observations. Among the records was an unsent letter addressed to Yukiko from his grandfather. This letter contained the key to unraveling the misunderstanding between them. As Yukiko read the letter, tears streamed down her face, releasing emotions she had harbored for years. Rio realized that this letter was the final piece to fulfill the promise between them. With this development, Rio and Yukiko began to hope they could bring peace to each other's pasts. Connecting the broken thread. Empowered by the discovery of the letter, Rio and Yukiko decided to delve deeper into their past to resolve misunderstandings. Using the phrase "connecting the broken thread" written in the letter as a clue, Yukiko led Rio to visit an observatory they once frequented. An old diary left in a corner of the observatory shed light on the meaning of those words. The diary contained words penned by Rio's grandfather to Yukiko, expressing his regrets over past events and his deep love for her. It was evident that his grandfather regretted himself from Yukiko, burdened by the responsibility of not being able to leave behind any research results for her. Ryo attempted to recreate the phenomenon witnessed by his grandfather and Yukiko, based on his grandfather's records and testimonies. In the process, Ryo encountered many events that could not be explained by science alone, gradually drawing him into the supernatural world experienced by his grandfather and Yukiko. Through this process, Ryo himself underwent growth, confronting his beliefs as a scientist and overcoming them. The journey of Ryo and Yukiko not only reconnects the threads of the past but also leads them to new discoveries. The liberated truth. The experiment conducted by Ryo and Yukiko succeeded, scientifically reproducing the supernatural phenomenon witnessed by Ryo's grandfather and Yukiko. This achievement garnered significant attention from the academic community, and Ryo was to present his research alongside Yukiko. During the presentation, Ryo announced that he had completed his grandfather's unresolved research and that it had led to fulfilling the promise with Yukiko. At that moment, Yukiko was freed from the burden she had carried for years and was able to settle her feelings for Ryo's grandfather. Ryo also felt the joy and responsibility of carrying on his grandfather's legacy and opening new horizons in science. Between them, a deep bond and understanding blossomed, and it was a moment when all past misunderstandings were completely cleared away. Dawn once again. After the success of their research and the fulfillment of his grandfather's wishes, Ryo visited the old observatory with Yukiko. Under the starry sky, they reflected on their journey thus far and discussed their future lives. Yukiko was determined to leave this place and start a new life, while Ryo, confident in his path as an astronomer following in his grandfather's footsteps, looked forward to his own journey. The story ends with Ryo gazing at the stars through his grandfather's old telescope. The depth of the universe spread out before the telescope filled Ryo with a sense of infinite possibilities and hope. As he received the messages of the future whispered by the stars,